Yo, what's good, movie fans? Welcome back to CineWhirl. Buckle up, because today I'm unraveling a mind-bending crime thriller from 2005 called Revolver that'll twist your brain into knots. This flick is a wild ride through greed, ego, and straight-up psychological chaos. Trust me, you won't blink once. Spoilers ahead, so watch out and take care. Let's dive into this gritty, stylish roller coaster that'll keep you hooked from start to finish. The story kicks off with Cockney gambler Jake Green finally tasting freedom after 7 years locked up. 2 years later, he's ready to settle scores. He and his brother Billy storm into a top-tier casino to confront its owner, crime boss, Dorothy Matcha, who owes them big time. Matcha's bodyguard Paul warns him not to let Jake into his private game, but Matcha shrugs it off. Jake hesitates at the elevator, his claustrophobia is screaming at him, but with 20 floors to climb, he grits his teeth and steps in, battling a panic attack. At the table, Jake bets on a chip toss against another player and loses. Sneaky move though. It's all to lull Matcha into a false sense of security. When Jake bets against Matcha next, he wins big. Jake and Billy grab their cash-stuffed bags and bolt. On their way out, a guy named Zach stops them, warning they're in danger and slipping Jake his card. Jake opts for the stairs this time, but before he takes a step, he blacks out and tumbles down. The card? It reads, "Take the elevator." While Jake's rushed to the hospital, Matcha freaks out to Paul. 7 years in the slammer, plus bad blood over Jake's sister-in-law? Jake's gotta want more than just cash. Matcha orders Paul to hire the best hitman money can buy to take him out. At the hospital, docs can't pin down why Jake fainted and tell him to rest while awaiting blood test results. Billy heads home, but Jake takes bodyguards for protection. Big mistake. They're all gunned down the second they arrive. Jake only survives because he bends to pick up a card that says, "Pick this up." Pure luck? Nah. He tries to peel out in his car, but the driver's shot too. Enter Zach, swooping in like a guardian angel to save Jake's skin. The hitman sorter is baffled. He never misses. He tells Matcha he had a bad feeling, but privately wonders if someone tipped Jake off. Zach takes Jake to meet his partner, Avi, who somehow got Jake's medical file. The verdict? Jake's got a rare blood disease, 3 days to live. Zach and Avi offer protection, but it's not cheap. Jake's gotta hand over all his money and obey their every command. No questions asked. They give him 3 hours to decide. Jake storms out, convinced it's a scam. He hits the hospital for a second opinion, but it's the same story. Still paranoid, he pulls a gun on his private dock to make sure he's not bought off. Same prognosis. Cornered, Jake grabs cash from the bank and grudgingly accepts their deal. On a drive, Avi spills that they're loan sharks, and Jake's money is what they'll be lending. After dropping cash to their first client, Avi grills Jake about his beef with Matcha. Flashback, Matcha had 3 dimwits called the 3 Eddies working for him. They lost their card player before a big game and roped Jake in, threatening Billy's family if he refused. At the game, players trashed Jake's mom, so he started a gunfight. Lights went out, money vanished, and someone pinned it on Jake. To keep him quiet, they threatened his niece and accidentally killed his sister-in-law when she shielded her. Jake stayed mum about Matcha's shady games, landing 7 years in jail. Later, the Eddies ticked Matcha off and ended up as concrete decorations. Jake keeps working for Zach and Avi, hitting up clients and dishing out his own cash. Meanwhile, Matcha and Paul visit crime kingpin Sam Gold's advisor, Lily Walker, since Gold never meets anyone. Lily brokers a powder deal, but warns Matcha that Gold hates publicity and doesn't do second chances. Back with Jake, Avi quizzes him about jail over chess. Jake picked 7 years of solitary over 14 years regular time. His cell sat between a chess master and a con man. They never spoke, but swapped coded messages in library books, teaching Jake a formula to win any game. The duo planned a breakout, promising to take Jake, but ditched him when they escaped. When Jake got out, He found they'd cleaned out his accounts, leaving a note. "You only get smarter by playing a smarter opponent." Jake used their formula to rake in casino cash. Now he's stuck giving his wealth to desperate clients, too soft to threaten them when they can't pay. Meanwhile, Zach and Avi pull a heist, chaining a wall to a truck to steal a safe. Yep, it's Matcha's powder for Lily. Matcha's livid and sends Paul to fix it. Paul cuts a deal with rival triad boss Lord John for more powder at a jacked-up price. Jake, Zach, Avi, and their crew crash the hotel where Matcha's and John's men are swapping goods. They sneak into the next room, drill a hole, and pump sleeping gas to knock everyone out. They snag the money and powder, framing it like Matcha and John robbed each other. Later, Billy calls Jake, warning that Zach and Avi are so dangerous, even gold won't touch them. Jake ignores him and keeps working, but when ordered to shoot a terrified client, he snaps, aiming at Avi instead. Plot twist: the gun's empty. Avi knocks him out cold. Jake wakes in a motel and Avi calls, saying he's past day 3, time for a checkup. Billy and his niece visit, leaving Jake a gun just in case. At the docks, Jake learns the diagnosis was wrong. He's fine. He calls Avi for answers, but Avi just says wait. Matcha, meanwhile, hears Jake's tied to all his recent woes and orders him dead. Back at the motel, Zach and Avi warn Jake that Matcha's goons are inside. Jake bolts, dodging the thugs. One even slips and shoots himself by mistake. The others think Jake did it. Jake confronts Zach and Avi, who admit he wasn't fully honest about the Eddies. When Jake got out of jail, the Eddies were waiting to kill him for costing them their jobs. Jake offered a deal: 3% of any money they lent him monthly. One Eddie bit. When it paid off, the others jumped in at 4%. Jake was just shuffling their own cash between them, losing nothing. When they ran dry, they borrowed from Matcha, who got curious about their mystery man. Jake, now rich from the formula, took a break with Billy and his niece. Then Matcha killed the Eddies for defaulting. At a fancy dinner, Matcha's crew reports Jake's escape. Sorter spots John's lover posing as a waitress and shoots, but his aim's off, only wounding her. She fires back, blasting Matcha's finger off before dying. Sorter's sent to wipe out John and his crew. On a rooftop, Zach and Avi tell Jake that gold doesn't exist. He's just ego, greed personified. To break free, Jake must rewrite what controls him. Jake withdraws his remaining cash, donates it all, and sneaks into Matcha's bedroom. Battling his inner ego, he apologizes for outsmarting Matcha, calls him the better crime lord, and says he donated in Matcha's name before leaving. To face his fears, Jake takes the elevator. It stalls on floor 13. As he fights a panic attack, he mentally rejects his ego, stepping out of the game as a free man. The elevator opens, and Matcha's waiting, gun drawn, unhinged by his own ego. Jake, calm as ever, walks past him. Matcha can't handle someone not fearing him and breaks down sobbing, humiliated. And next morning, Paul shows Matcha newspapers praising his charity. Jake wasn't bluffing about the donation. Matcha laps up the fame, but Paul drops a bomb. Jake has the powder and played them all. Paul, Sorter, and the crew hit Billy's place. Billy hides his daughter, but a traitor bodyguard rats him out. They beat him, demanding Jake's location. Billy swears he doesn't know. When they find the girl crying in a cupboard, Sorter snaps, refusing to harm a kid. He rejects his ego and mows down the goons with precision. One slip-up, though, and he's killed. Meanwhile, Lily visits Matcha with a wreath from gold, who's furious about the publicity. She says Matcha's done. No second chances. Matcha spirals. At the casino, Avi and Zach bring Jake and the powder. Over chess, Avi reveals they were the chess master and con man next to Jake's cell. They wanted to free him, but claim he wasn't ready for the truth, hinting they're just in his head. Before Jake can process, Matcha's guards drag him to face Matcha, who's holding his niece at gunpoint. Jake drops the powder and calmly tells her it'll be okay. His fearlessness drives Matcha nuts. His ego screams Jake can't hurt a dead man. Matcha turns the gun on himself and pulls the trigger. What a wild, twisty ride. Revolver is a dark, brainy plunge into power and pride. Stay tuned to CineWhirl for more epic recaps.